We have lots of heroes in the Bible, right? Like people we read about in the Bible, we say, man, that guy was awesome. That guy was great. Man, I'd love to be like that guy, right? Because they really stepped up. We go, man, that's just so cool. David is one of those characters, King David. You look at him, a man after God's own heart and the faith that he had. But we're also reminded that these are just humans. They're not God. And they do make some big mistakes. And David, of course, made a huge one with Bathsheba, right? Had an affair with a married woman. He was married too, for that matter. Got her pregnant. Killed her husband. That's pretty dark stuff. How could David do that? Well, sometimes we slip away from God. Sometimes we let our concerns be more important than God's concerns. But when David's confronted with this, what does he do? Well, he realizes how far he slipped away and decides he has two choices. He can go just full into rebellion, or he can work towards getting it right. And he works towards getting it right. He goes to God himself. And so I read about that in Psalm 51, verses 1 to 4, this process. And it starts like this. You are kind, God. He knows God's good. God's kind. Please have pity on me. You are always merciful. Please wipe away my sins. Wash me clean from all my sin and guilt. I know about my sins, and I cannot forget the burden of my guilt. You are really the one I have sinned against, have disobeyed you, and have done wrong. So it is right and fair for you to correct and punish me. He goes to God first, and he pleads for God's mercy. He pleads for God's grace. He just goes to God. And that's a good step for us. When you know you've blown it, don't go into full rebellion. Instead, go back to God and say, will you forgive me? And you know what? He will.